Erklär uns doch mal, wie der Start mit so einem DTM-Auto vor sich geht. Du siehst die Ampel, die gehen alle aus. Ja, du hast dieses Auto ein bisschen vorspannen, also gegen die Bremse fahren und dann einfach so schnell wie möglich reagieren und dann hoffen, dass du wenig Windspin hast und das dann mit der Kupplung am Gas kontrollieren. Also es ist wirklich nicht einfach, einen guten Start zu machen, aber ja, ich glaube, das kriege ich hin. Lukas Auer damit ein bisschen Probleme gehabt, zuletzt in Hockenheim, der hat eine Durchfahrtsstrafe gekriegt im Frühstart. Das willst du vermeiden? Das willst du vermeiden. Ich glaube, für meinen Ingenieur ist das ein schlechtes Omen hier, der zweite Startplatz, weil der Tom Blomqvist, den er letztes Jahr betreut hat, ist auch auf Platz 2 gestanden und hat auch einen Frühstart gemacht. Also er hat mir gesagt, take it lieber ein bisschen easier, aber das werde ich nicht machen. Ich werde hier einen Raketenstart hinlegen, der sich hoffentlich gut anfühlt. Schau mal, die Mechaniker haben gerade die Türen abgenommen am Auto. Wir können jetzt direkt reingucken in deinen Rennboliden. Erklär uns doch mal, was da anders ist als bei einem Serienauto oder bei einem anderen Rennwagen. Gut, ich glaube, der größte Unterschied ist, dass wir in einem Carbon-Monocoque sitzen und dass ich einen Sitz habe, der komplett auf mich angepasst ist. Ich bin nicht der Größte, also viele sagen auch, dass mein Kindersitz, der ist hier wirklich komplett an den Körper angepasst, dass das 1:1 passt. Dann haben wir keine Klimaanlage, wir haben nur Frischluft, die hier rauskommt. Von außen. Wenn es kalt ist, ist es okay, aber wenn es warm ist draußen, dann ist es auch nicht besonders angenehm. Das Lenkrad ist sehr, sehr klein und handlich, mit einigen Knöpfen drauf, Funk und DAS und das Ganze. Also es ist immer viel zu tun und es wird sicher ein heißer Hit. Philipp, das war großartig, ich habe der Mechaniker gesagt, du hast jetzt meinen Job übernommen, ich übernehme dann rein, aber das machen wir das nächste Mal, wenn du ganz hinten stehst, weil da richtig den wenigsten Schaden an. Danke. So, und wir schauen ein Reichen weiter hinter. Da steht unser Rückkehrer aus der Formel 1, da steht Pascal Wehrlein, den haben wir heute noch gar nicht gesprochen. Gestern Training schnellster gewesen und jetzt steht er neben Bruno Speckler hier in der zweiten Startreihe. Bruno da drüben noch, mit dem wollen wir gleich auch noch mal reden. Aber vorher wollen wir mal fragen, ob Pascal Wehrlein kurz Zeit hat für uns. Er ist hier gerade noch am Daten checken bzw. am Zeitplan angucken mit seinen Teamleuten. Pascal, hast du kurz Zeit? Lausitzring, den kennst du gut, allerdings die Streckenvariante nicht so.
Ja, aber ich denke alle eigentlich, außer die ganz alten, wie zum Beispiel, die kennen die andere Streckenvariante. Aber wir haben 2 Freitrainings am Wochenende, von dem her genug Zeit, um sich dran zu gewöhnen.
3 Dran gewöhnt hast du dich schnell, du hast am Medientag so ein bisschen gesagt, ja, ich weiß noch nicht, wie sich das Auto anfühlt, das ist schon so lange her, deinen Titel 2015 geholt, aber reingefunden hast dich offensichtlich ganz gut am Auftaktwochenende in Hockenheim. Wie war's für dich?
Ja, es klappt schon ganz gut, aber es gibt immer noch hier und da ein paar Sachen, die ich verbessern muss. Vor allem im Qualifying, denke ich, steckt noch am meisten Potenzial. Und heute war es schon besser als in Hockenheim mit Platz 4. Und jetzt mal sehen, was es ergibt.
Alles klar. Dir viel Spaß, dir viel Erfolg und wir gucken weiter. Da drüben steht der nächste Timo Glock gerade noch bei den Kollegen von Sat1, während hier gerade die Kanonen geladen werden. Und da wollen wir noch mal mit dem Jungen sprechen. Hi, wie heißt du? Burak. Hallo Burak, wie viele T-Shirts hast du mitgebracht? Wie viele schießt du jetzt gleich in die Tribüne?
Circa 20.
Meinst du, du kannst über uns auch so?
So pink und grün und warum hast du kein Auto gekriegt in pink? Das musst du nicht mitfahren. Kannst du mit Olli reden. Das sieht nicht schlecht aus. Alles gut?
Am Lausitzring, aber das wollen wir gleich ihn selbst mal fragen, wenn die beiden sich fertig unterhalten haben. Hier haben wir Marco Wittmann, auch er hat schon 2 DTM-Titel geholt, aber er steht hier neben seinem Auto im neuen Design in M-Farben. Er ist der unterwegs. Marco!
So the story behind the helmet is, it's like about the bike and steering and der Steigerung war gut. Von 19 auf 8.
Timo Glock, da gibt's noch Ansagen von den Leuten. Also es kann sein, dass Timo jetzt noch hier bei den Sat1-Kollegen geht, aber dann haben wir einen grinsenden Gary Paffett hier neben uns stehen. Den letzten Sieg hat er 2013 gefeiert, den letzten 2012 in Hockenheim. Und the first DTM race weekend was victorious for you, and I just told the fans that the last victory was some 5 years ago.
Yeah, before Hockenheim was a long time ago, so it's nice to get a win this early in the season. Takes a bit of pressure off, and we just have to try and keep the performance up. Obviously qualifying today wasn't great, but the car feels good, so hoping for a 6 points win. Yeah, I heard he has a special helmet design which he paints throughout the race, so that's quite nice, and I guess it's for charity, so it's a good thing to do, but yeah, certainly a race to remember.
Ja, das wird auf jeden Fall ein
Ja, klar.
Ich lasse den beiden erst noch alleine und noch eine Startreihe weiter hinter. Das ist Edoardo Mortara, der Italiener am Auto, der diesen Wochenende
championship. We come here, you know, every year, we enjoy it. Always a lot of fans, you know, so the atmosphere is very good.
Also tolle Atmosphäre hier im Lausitzring und dass wir, weil wir unterhalten uns immer so auf Englisch, aber Edo spricht ja auch Deutsch, der kann genauso umswitchen. Was macht die neue Strecke, die längere Strecke für dich? Ist das besser oder kürzer? Besser.
Ja. Dankeschön. Alles gut?
Und ich glaube, für Überholmanöver ist es wird nicht besser sein. Schauen wir mal.
Alles klar, dann drücken wir die Daumen. Herzlichen Dank, Edo Mortara. Er sagt, die Strecke macht es besser zu überholen und das wollen wir dann hoffentlich sehen. Wir sehen Podium, wir sehen Nico Müller. Mit dem Nico sollten wir vielleicht mal sprechen, er sitzt nämlich im schnellsten Auto. Und das wird sehr
durch die Boxengasse gefegt ist. Ja, scheint ihm heute gut zu Gesicht zu stehen und er scheint ihm insgesamt gut bekommen zu sein. Und ja, es gibt so einiges, was man aufgreifen kann. Das werden wir den Fahrer dann gerade gesagt haben. Und es wird sich im Wahlreifen dieses Rennens dann zeigen. Wer da drauf eingestellt hat, dann gibt es überall diese ja, das verkauft. Sondern auch die Marke. Da war also die erste Auflage dieses Rennens hier in der Lausitz. Und seitdem ist die DTM in jedem Falle, jedes Jahr und das immer stetig mit wachsender Begeisterung zu Gast hier zwischen Cottbus und Dresden. Das erste Rennen in Löwen gab es noch Polsetter und Bergschneider, ein Rennen, das der allerdings ja, sprichwörtlich davon gespielt ist.
Ready, left, kiss, please.
Die Regenwahrscheinlichkeit, da müsste ich jetzt mal meine Wetter-App mal kurz aktivieren und mal schauen, ob die auch ganz schnell reagiert. Dann hätten wir nämlich hier jetzt eine Regenwahrscheinlichkeit von, na nun komm schon. Uns gleich mal an, aber das dürfte hier stark gegen ja, 5%. Also bitte, da kann eigentlich nichts passieren. Das wird heute eine trockene Angelegenheit von oben, aber keine trockene Angelegenheit unten auf. Jetzt ist natürlich noch Zeit, nicht nur einen Blick auf den wirklich wunderschönen und neu gestalteten DTM-Pokal zu nehmen, sondern auch noch einmal den einen oder anderen Schritt zu tun. zumindest. Bei Audi ist es Zeit, mit dem Chef der Kamera zu wechseln.
Das findet sich auch. Gerhard Berger steht neben mir. Episches Rennen, was wir in Hockenheim gesehen haben. Der Aerodynamik sei Dank, würde ich sagen.
Ja, Hockenheim war super, aber jetzt sind wir schon beim nächsten Rennen und jetzt muss man schauen, dass das ähnlich gut wird. Aber die Zeitabstände im Qualifying waren schon wieder so ähnlich wie in Hockenheim, also man kann davon ausgehen, dass das Feld beisammen bleibt. Ich hoffe, dass die Fahrer das diesmal wieder so elegant lösen wie in Hockenheim, dass sie nebeneinander nach die Kurve fahren mit Hintereinander und dann sind alle Fans happy.
Ich habe auch bislang nur positive Worte zur Streckenverlängerung in Anführungszeichen gehört. Auch das der richtige Schritt anscheinend.
Naja, jetzt schauen wir mal, ob die positiven Kommentare auch noch einen zu sind, aber ich glaube, das ist ein guter Schritt. Ja.
Alles klar, herzlichen Dank, Gerhard Berger. Viel Spaß hier. Und ihm haben wir auch natürlich die ganzen Fanaktionen zu verdanken. Im Preview-Areas, dass Sie sich das anschauen können. Wir haben oben die Race Terrace, wir haben hinten das Fan-Village und. Bevor wir wegläuft, Harald Groß, du bist heute morgen im Klassentour.
Sam.
Ja, auf jeden Fall. Und ich wünsche mir eine Wiederholung von Hockenheim. Ist nicht ganz einfach. Hier ist eine andere Charakteristik. Und dass die Audis noch ein bisschen weiter nach vorne kommen und mitten reinfahren, weil alle drei Hersteller haben einen super Job gemacht in Hockenheim. Und ich denke, man kann nicht nur einschränken bei den Audis, die kein weiterer Job, aber die BMWs sind alle konzentriert, die Mercedes nach vorne. Also ich wünsche mir ganz
Das spricht nicht nur von den Fans, sondern auch das, was die BMW damals
Ja, es gibt keinen Grund, etwas zuzufügen. Genau das wünschen wir uns auch. Und ja, er hat schon recht. Das wiederholt sich nicht einfach mal. Es muss man rennen wie am Sonntag in Hockenheim. Aber immerhin, die Hoffnung stirbt zuletzt. Und wenn wir bei all den Innovationen sind, die wir Gerhard Berger und der René generell zu verdanken haben, dann ist es unter anderem die Renndauer 55 Minuten plus eine Runde steht gleich auf dem Programm. Dann der eine Fliegenboxenstopp, den gab es früher schon, aber dass dann nur noch 9 Mechaniker maximal am Auto arbeiten müssen, dass alle 4 Reifen gewechselt werden müssen, dass ein Schlagschraubenmotor nur erlaubt ist, beispielsweise. All das ist die zusätzliche Zeit zu der Ökologischen sehr, sehr gut genutzt. Das wird gleich alles richtig heiß und ganz wichtige Ideen, wo man Beispiel dafür, wenn Sie nicht auf den Urschutz und wenn ein V8-Motor ist dann doch schon ganz schön laut. Ich kann das mal in der Formel 1 vertreten. Das war mal, das ist jetzt nicht mehr unbedingt so, aber auch noch halbwegs, dass wir Geräuschkulissen deutlich, ja, was kommt wieder, muss man einfach so sagen. Da regt sich noch was in Deutsch und das ist auch richtig gut so. Und die Herren, die gleich in den Cockpits alle Platz nehmen werden, die tun dann ihr Übriges dafür, um uns eine entsprechende Show zu bieten. Hier am Lausitzring Rennen Nummer 3 im Übrigen, falls ich es noch nicht erwähnt haben sollte, ist es hiermit geschehen. Steht uns also gleich unmittelbar ins Haus und da haben wir mal richtig Bock drauf. Sie im Übrigen auch. Hallo. Die Frau würde mir auch als Postbote gefallen lassen, sage ich jetzt mal einfach. Ganz ehrlich. Noch immer ist das Starting-Grid relativ gefüllt, relativ voll, relativ viele Menschen unterwegs. Hier ist auch noch die Möglichkeit, aber definitiv sind sie nicht dran. weiß, wie man auf eine Runde behält, vorangeht, hat aber auch schon mal meine Rennen nicht ganz hinbekommen. Also, wir sind jetzt noch auf Zwei ist dann hier vorne und dahinter drängt ein Kanadier. Und der drängt jetzt auch, um bei Audi ein bisschen darüber zu reden.
Den haben wir zwar nach der Qualifikation schon mal gehört, aber jetzt ist das Rennen, du wirkst tiefenentspannt, Bruno. Macht dich so ein Rennen noch richtig emotional an?
Es sieht noch so aus, dass ich entspannt bin. Ich glaube, vor jedem Rennen ist man nervös, das gehört einfach dazu. Viel Adrenalin, viel Nervosität, das gehört zum Motorsport. Motorsport ohne Nervosität ist kein Motorsport. Aber ich freue mich aufs Rennen. Ich meine, wir haben eine gute Ausgangsposition. Ich glaube, hier mit der neuen Streckenlayout, das bringt natürlich mit mehr Geraden, mehr Bremspunkte, kann man besser überholen. Und ich glaube, die Show wird schon sehr interessant sein hier auf dieser neuen Lausitzring Grand Prix Strecke. Auch ich sehe mehr und mehr in den Tribünen, mehr Leute und auch immer mehr super Unterstützung. Und die Stimmung ist wirklich der Hammer hier immer in der Lausitzring. Ich komme hier seit 2005 und die Stimmung ist immer ganz, ganz besonders. Man hört viele Leute, die Motorsport begeistert sind und das macht richtig Spaß, dafür hier zu fahren. Ja, das gibt dir natürlich noch mehr Motivation, wenn du hörst die Klatschen und du hörst die Stimmung und alles. Es gibt ja noch ein bisschen mehr Adrenalin und mehr Motivation und deshalb freue ich mich aufs Rennen. Danke.
Danke dir, Bruno Spengler. Und ich habe gehört, Timo Glock ist langsam fertig. Dann laufen wir doch mal direkt ans Auto hinter und wollen noch mit dem BMW-Piloten sprechen. Der liegt da hinten gerade am Flügel und spricht noch mit seinem Ingenieur, vor allem mit seinem Teamchef. Hier ist der Helm mit den Unterschriften der beiden Kontrahenten, Gary Paffett und Timo Glock, hinten drauf. Den wird er gleich aufsetzen. Das ist ein Design extra für dieses Rennen hier in der Lausitz. Wir sehen hier Szenen aus Hockenheim, einmal im Auto mit der Siegerfaust oben, dann oben auf dem Podium, hier beim Seitenspitzen. Auch diese Szenen sind auf dem Podium.
Oh yes, Lucas Auer is going to be under pressure, that's for sure, but nonetheless he did a brilliant job in qualifying with his 1:37.3. As we look at René Rast in his Audi Sport RS5 DTM, René Rast wasn't the qualifying that he hoped for here at the Lausitzring. Hello and welcome to the Lausitzring. We're using a longer version of the circuit than previously in DTM because we're here with the 4.534 configuration, which uses two parts of the old tri-oval circuit. 14 turns, 8 of them left-handers, 6 of them are right-handers. So we are expecting perhaps a new overtake opportunity here at Lausitzring, coming off the straight from turn 6 into a section that contains both left and right-hander turns through 7, 8 and 9. We will see as the race unfolds. So quite a exciting qualifying session, and we'll see how the race pans out in but a while. In the meantime, down on the grid once again. Let's go back to the grid now. Loic Duval that we look at now into his second season of DTM here at the Lausitzring. So what can Loic Duval do from P13 on the grid? Well, of course, we have 55 minutes plus 1 lap race duration with the mandatory pit stop, wherever the drivers choose to take that pit stop. And we also have the fact that the tyre change means that the drivers will be returning on cold tyres rather than pre-warm tyres, because tyre warmers not allowed in DTM anymore. The cars this year, with 30% less downforce, less aero, I should say, well, if anything, it proved to really increase the entertainment value of Hockenheim, and we're expecting it to do the same here at the Lausitzring. This is Joel Eriksson then, who set out his stall as a rookie driver right from the get-go at Hockenheim, as the 10-minute board is shown, 10 minutes before the race gets underway. And as I said, 55 minutes plus 1 lap and the mandatory pit stop right in the middle. So Loic Duval, one of the rookies into the DTM this year, and actually and a really good finish in the second race at Hockenheim, finishing in P4. So Joel Eriksson going from P11 on the grid for this race today. The front 2 rows, it's Lucas Au, Philipp Eng, Bruno Spengler, and of course returning to the DTM, Pascal Wehrlein. Here comes the grid in full. The first row, as I said, Lucas Au and Philipp Eng, and Austrian. Bruno Spengler and Pascal Wehrlein go from P3 and P4. And Timo Glock, so much a star at Hockenheim, P5 with former champion Marco Wittmann alongside. Here's Edoardo Mortara and Paul de Resta, P7 and P8, with Nico Muller and Mike Rockefeller occupying the 5th row of the grid for this race here at the Lausitzring. Joel Eriksson and Robin Prins, 2 DTM rookies together on the 6th row of the grid. On the 7th, it's Loic Duval and Gary Pappett. From there we go to P13, P15, I beg your pardon, René Rast, and P16, Augusto Farfus, with Jamie Green and Daniel Junquetea rounding out the grid for this race 1. Back to the grid once again. So strategically then, Audi's certainly going to have to do something. The best of their drivers, Nico Muller then going from P9 on the grid. This is Paul de Resta. Paul de Resta going from P8, and Edoardo Mortara in the number 48 Mercedes-Benz goes from P7 on the grid with his 137.580. So Edo Mortara then pensive, isn't he, before he gets into the car ahead of the start of this race. Marco Wittmann, he is going from P6 on the grid for the BMW driver. His qualifying time of 1:37.544, settles into the car, and gloves laid out, ready to put on ahead of the start of what is race 3 in the season. And this man was such a star at Hockenheim, Timo Glock. And hasn't done a bad job in qualifying either. We had a number of drivers on 1:37.5s, the differences coming to 100ths and thousandths. In the end, Timo Glock's time gave him P5 on the grid, so expect some movement forwards potentially from Timo Glock. Pascal Wehrlein then returns to DTM from his Formula 1 racing last year, and a very welcome return to the former champion, of course the youngest ever champion, Pascal Wehrlein. Came away from Hockenheim quietly going about his business, banking a P5 and a P6 in the 2 races, and here at the Lausitzring has put the car on P4. For Pascal Wehrlein then. And there, Lucas Auer then, the man of the moment. He's at 1:37.3, giving him pole position. But over Philipp Eng, it was something like 3/1000ths of a second. They were that close together. And we are expecting the race to be every bit as thrilling and every bit as close. As I mentioned, it's a slightly longer version of the Lausitzring circuit that we're using here for DTM this weekend. This configuration was last used in a DTM race, if my memory serves me correctly, back in 2004. 4.534 kilometers configuration as we look at the Bruno Spengler car then in preparations for the start of race 1. "70 kilometers away from Dresden, we are at the Lausitzring with one of the old ore extraction machines. The backdrop there, as you can see. DTM victory totals, as you can see. Audi with 7, BMW with 1, and Mercedes very dominant here with 13 victories. Of course, their driver Lucas Auer going from pole position for this race as the grid girls make their way off the grid now, and the final stages of preparation ahead of the race is about to get underway. One of the young supporters here to enjoy the DTM race action in weather conditions which are warm. It's a tad cloudy, it has to be said. And there you can see the grid in full in graphics and pictures as well, with Auer and Eng and Spengler and Wehrlein and Glock and Wittmann occupying the first 3 rows of this DTM race grid, followed by Edoardo Mortara and Paul Di Resta. Nico Müller and Mike Rockenfeller and Joel Eriksson and Robin Frins. Interesting row 6, both rookie drivers. When it comes to row 7 of the grid, we find Loic Duval and Gary Paffett, and René Rast and Augusto Farfus 1 row behind on row 8. Row 9 is Jamie Green and the Spanish racer Daniel Juncadella making his return to the DTM in 2018. The trophy, of course, that they all want to see to the left-hand side of your picture. They want to see that at the end of the year. And there, Philipp Eng looked like he was going to take pole position, but was just beaten by Lucas Auer. And I say just, it was the tiniest of margins, but very good qualifying from Philipp Eng, and even better qualifying from this young man, Lucas Auer then. 1:37.343, as I said, it was 7/1000ths of a second. You couldn't get much closer than that, and qualifying in DTM saw the first 12 drivers all within a second of each other. Top 12 drivers all in the 1:37s. So that the trophy once again that every driver wants to lift at the end of the year. And at the moment, of course, the trophy is with René Rast, who has work to do from P15 on the grid. In the Drivers' Championship, it couldn't be tighter at the top, could it? Timo Glock leads by 1 point over Gary Paffett. Of course, points were also awarded in qualifying. The top 3 in qualifying get 3, 2, 1 points respectively for their 1, 2, 3 finish, which was some valuable extra points for Lucas Auer. There's not very much wind around. It's a bit overcast, but it's certainly pleasantly warm. And as you can see, the turbines in the background hardly moving. There is so little wind around. You can see the clock on the gantry almost in the center of the screen there, indicating that we are just 1 minute and 45 seconds away from the formation lap. And hey, look, I'm on the telly. I've just realized. Lucas Auer, of course, is often on the telly because he is always there or thereabouts when it comes to DTM racing. Last year, he was in the fight of the championship in 2 sort of separate parts, really. The middle of the year went downhill for Lucas, but when we went to the Nürburgring, he brought himself back into the championship, really. And Philipp Eng then with that front row start. Offset grid here, so going into turn 1, which is a left-hander, Philipp Eng is actually on the inside, but of course Lucas Auer is just a few meters ahead of him. When it comes to the start of the race, if Philipp Eng got a supreme start with Lucas Auer, 1, then who knows what could happen. Interesting choice of board there, but 1 minute before the start of the formation lap then. DTM car cars. So the final engineers make their way off the grid, and the lighting gantry, as you can see, top of your picture there, and more of DTM's race fans ready to enjoy the 55-minute plus 1 lap race unfold here at the Lausitzring. So an unorthodox method of getting through the pit wall, which involved climbing over for one of the mechanics. But with just 15 seconds or so to go, the cars will be released. And the tension begins to build in the garages of the manufacturers. You can see just a section of the spectators here to enjoy the DTM race in action. So the cars are released bang on time. Here we go with race 3 of the 20 race season of 2018. DTM is up now to once again. So shot as the cars come past that trophy, 2018 Drivers' Championship trophy that they are aiming for. Once again in graphics for you, we've been through it, we don't need to go through it again, but it's there. There's the pictures of the drivers in the cars as well. So Lucas Au then moving from side to side, generating some temperature in those tyres. This is the stretch then between turns 5 and 6, which uses part of the original old tri-oval here that the circuit first used back in 2000. So that turn in. Team radio primarily in German, other team radio that will bring you during the course of the race, much of which will be in English language. So Lucas Au then making his way through the turn 10 now, and there you can see 4.5 kilometers, 55 minutes plus 1 lap. Weather conditions 20.1, 23.9 track, and the wind speed negligible. 3 sectors on the side of the screen. As the race gets underway, we'll introduce you to our summariser that will be alongside us. That will be Alex Toril. We'll speak to him when the race gets underway, and of course, he being fluent in Spanish, German, Japanese, and many other languages as well, will be able to bring us the translations. Dr. Mario Thiessen looks on from the BMW garage, and there you can see probably it's one of the tensest trains is inside the garages of the head. So sending out the back end of the car. Lucas Au millimetrically perfect into his grid box. There are sensors across the grid boxes to make sure that the drivers are positioned into exactly the right place. Any deviation from where you are supposed to be, and you can pick up a penalty. And all the drivers are very anxious and very conscious to make sure that they don't make an error in any way when they go into their grid boxes. So the scene is set, and just about all the cars are into their grid boxes now. So we are about to get this race underway. DTM race 3 of the season, and that's the car on pole position, Lucas Au then. The green flag flies from the marshal at the rear of the pack. The start sequence is underway. When 5 lights go out, we will be away and racing. Let's go for DTM here at the Lausitzring then. Robin Prins, huge crash for that's Jamie Green, I'm sure it is. Jamie Green limps his car off the grid. All I saw was the damage to the car. I'm sure it's Jamie Green's. Lucas Au, Bruno Spengler got past Philipp Eng right at the start, and there you can see the Jamie Green car. Now I caught that just so somebody didn't get away, and that's the person that didn't get away, Nico Müller. So Jamie Green clattering into the back of Nico Müller's car. On board with Jamie Green. This is going to bring the race under suspension right at the start, because there is debris all over the race. And Alongside me, as I mentioned, is Alex Torriel. Welcome into the Cosmove, Alex. Safety car has been called for. That's one of those situations, presumably, we've not seen it yet, where, for whatever reason, Nico Muller didn't get away. Jamie Green gave it a footfall, and it would appear went straight into the back of Nico Muller.
Yeah, as we saw, it's a typical situation at DTM. Someone always with this complicated system of starting with the handbrake and everything. In this case, most probably Nico Muller stole the car, or whatever the reason, as you said. And unfortunately, Jamie Green here, it's also really narrow. You have wall on the left, wall on the right, not so much room to go. And he just clinched the car in the rear. And as you said, debris all the way. You can see another replay. We see Jamie Green.
So yes, I mean, he really did connect with that Nico Muller car, didn't he? Well, we've seen Jamie Green and Nico Muller both out of the cars. And Jamie Green here was unsighted, wasn't he? Completely unsighted. He got René Rast ahead of him. You've got milliseconds, haven't you, to make decisions, and there was no way he was going to be able to avoid that, truthfully. Look at that. That was for whatever reason, Nico Muller, he got going initially and then seemed to bog down, and just as Jamie Green decided to go to the outside.
Yeah, I think he could not due to having René Rast in front of him, he could not see that there was a car standing, so he probably thought, okay, everyone goes to the inside and we take the outside line, that will be maybe faster, but of course everyone was going to the inside because was car stopped.
Well, that's very bad news for Audi. They had two cars out of the race already before even one lap has been completed. You can see there the looks of frustration on the pit wall. The Jamie Green car is going to have to be towed away. There's a debris all over the track, so safety car is called for already. And whilst we always expected to see drama in the DTM, we don't like to see that. There is the Nico Muller car, which received the full force of Jamie Green. Of course, that start sequence, these cars, Alex, they've got remarkable acceleration, haven't they?
Yeah, it's a lot of power, a lot of torque down, and as I said, also these cars, when they do the starting procedure, they get launched with the handbrake, so the drivers preload the car with the handbrake. So pull the handbrake, the car is brake on the rear, they release the clutch till the car is kind of preload, and then at the moment the lights goes off, they just lose this handbrake. They just release the handbrake and the car gets launched into the acceleration.
So it's almost like a launch control, isn't it? You're playing with the clutch, getting the bite point exactly right, and then, as you say, you just release the handbrake. That's significant damage to both cars, isn't it? I mean, I have to say, I don't think you can apportion blame there, but what did Nico Muller perhaps potentially do wrong in the start sequence? Because initially he did get away, didn't he?
Yeah, the DTM drivers, and I know the start control system of the DTM, there is a minimum or a maximum of RPMs you need to have.
Yes.
So this is already pretty controlled. They also know which is the most efficient RPM. It's not flat out. There is up to a certain range of RPMs. When you release the handbrake, you need to stay on the clutch for the first meters. At the same time, release the clutch.
So you can't afford just a dump clutch then. It has to be a progressive launch.
It must be a progressive launch, or usually on the Formula 3, as I raced Formula 3, it was the same system. Because when you preload the car, the clutch is already sliding through the gearbox, let's say. Yes. So it's already the car, it wants to move, but you control this movement by applying the handbrake. So when you release the handbrake, the car moves, start to move. So, but you need to, on the first meter, to stay, let's say, on the same clutch position. Because if you also release the clutch, you can't stall. These cars are much more complicated, and it's really difficult. That's why we see quite often pretty much in every race. Some people have some issues, a lot of coolant liquid on the racetrack.
Well, of course, everything we're saying is conjecture. We don't know what happened to Nico Muller's start sequence, but what we do know is that Robin Frins, who I said had got a very, very good start, hugging the inside wall. Well, he's under investigation for potentially having jumped the start. And, it's not a question of someone looking at it to see whether it had a jump start. So let's see what comes out of that investigation, because They will look at that after the race. In the meantime, of course, we are behind the safety car. Spengler getting past Philippeng right at the start of the race. Here we can see from our Timo Glock splitter cam then. Timo, and Lucas Hauer really pushing Philippeng towards the wall there. Look at the eyes of Lucas Hauer.
Yeah, because my feeling was that Philippeng did a really good start. I saw his first launch was quite nice. Yeah, that's not a
he really did
brilliant
squeeze him,
move of
didn't he?
Lucas Hauer, to be honest.
That was a real squeeze, wasn't it?
Because my feeling as I was watching here, because from the commentary booth you can see the start really well. I had a feeling Philippeng did a really good launch at the start, but I could not see the small accident on the wall.
Well, my focus was on the what was unfolding right at the back as well, because Jamie Green just from nowhere seemed to have sustained that huge amount of damage, and we were obviously in replay we could see exactly how that was caused. So Lucas Hauer then is the number 4 car of Robin Frins for a potential jump start. The crew doing a brilliant job in terms of clearing up the debris. The car's being taken through the pit lane for safety reasons, obviously, to allow those track staff to continue to clean up the mess there. Quite a lot of coolant liquid came out of the Jamie Green car. Let's go down and talk to Jamie Green right now. Well, as I said then, completely unsighted, and as he says, he got a really good start, and because he got a good start, he was penalised for that, because he was so close onto the back of René Rast. René Rast took decisive action, and as he swerved left, Jamie Green just didn't have time to swerve sufficiently right to try and get past the parked car, because as he says, he hadn't even seen it. So really bad luck for Jamie Green then. The number 53 car, as you can see, significantly damaged at the front. Nico Muller's car, the car that he connected with, significantly damaged at the rear as well. And there, just through the Augusto Farfus and René Rast car, you could just see the drama unfold on board with René Rast then at this start of the race. And Gary Packett there in the all-blue Mercedes-Benz. So the number 33 car of René Rast, current champion in DTM, of course. So the car's continuing to weave from side to side to try and maintain some temperature into those tyres. Really get any more than, well, didn't even complete a racing lap before the car came under before the race rather came under the control of the safety car, quite rightly. So the Jamie Green car then is going to be lifted, and once that is out of the way, with the debris having been swept away, there'll be some more debris falling off the car now as it's lifted, that's for sure. Nothing anyone can do about that. Just look at the pile of bits that was the front end of that Jamie Green car. That's going to be a huge amount of work, isn't it, Alex, to put that car right before qualifying for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's incredible amount of work you need to deliver. We see all the coolant, all the refrigerators in the front, all the carbon. Let's see if the chassis is not damaged.
I was going to say, is there a possibility with that impact that the chassis could be damaged?
It could be. I mean, it was quite frontal, but and the chassis, it starts quite more to the rear. All the rest is spare parts, but it's such a big impact that might be the chassis suffer a bit or a small crack. This they will need to check on the pit the box later on.
So well, there we can see the the car being put onto the low loader there. Extraordinary amount of work that may have to go on to get that car in any way, shape, or form ready for qualifying for tomorrow. So the Rosberg team with a late night in front of them potentially, and there you can see down in the garages there. That's the Nico Muller's at Sportsline garage. Of course, they too with an incredible amount of work to do, because the car that Jamie connected with was the car of Nico Muller. Now, you were mentioning there, Alex, that they hit almost square on, didn't they? And rather than sort of at an angle. And does that minimise perhaps some of the damage that's been caused? Because of course there are, you know, the car is designed to absorb a certain amount.
Yeah, it really depends on the way the crash happens. Sometimes just the frontal crash is worse than sometimes could be better, especially because this DTM's car in the rear, they don't have much. If they take, let's say, the rear bonnet of the car, or what we so call in the street the trunk, you will see it's pretty empty. You have the suspension, the gearbox is more towards the driver, is more in the middle. Yes. So if we get a close-up like this one on the car of Nico Müller, we will see it's mainly carbon, so this is an advantage. But anyway, you see how much the damage on the Jamie Green's car, that tells you that it's been a big impact.
You're absolutely right. It has been a big impact, and we reflect on that. That, of course, right at the start of the race. Car was coming off the back of a low loader. That would have really helped the situation, wouldn't it? But of course it is tethered by the high-ab, the crane on the back of the low loader there. So we will see. The cars then making their way through the pit lane during this safety car phase to ensure, of course, that the teams can operate on the track in terms of clearing up. That was the moment when I thought the car was coming off the back of a low loader. Been sort into the wound, rubbing off, they feel.
Would have not been the first one to see it.
No, absolutely. So safety car is coming in this lap. Okay, so well done to all the recovery teams and the track operators as well, who have swept up the damage. So the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and we can get back to racing again. We've lost a significant amount of time, as you can see. The race is now going to be, it's going to be close to 40 minutes by the time the safety car has come in, plus one lap, and of course the mandatory pit stop to take into account as well. So Lucas Auer leads from Bruno Spengler, Philipp Eng, Timo Glock, Pascal Wehrlein, Paul di Resta, Marco Wittmann, Edoardo Mortara, Joel Eriksson, and Mike Rockefeller. Those are the top 10 places. And there you can see the restart grid, because of course after a safety car, DTM, I love this fantastic. Cars will line up side by side, so it will be a very, very interesting restart. It's called an Indy-style restart, isn't it? And that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of the things the DTM or the ITR board of managers of the DTM introduced last year. A new rule, start, as you said, parallel 2x2, so it will bring us more excitement into the restart.
Okay, so there they go, lining up side by side. This is going to be exciting. Lucas Auer, Bruno Spengler, then it's going to be Philipp Eng and Timo Glock, followed by Pascal Wehrlein and Paul di Resta, side by side. They make their way through the final sequence of turns. Then they're on the way out of the final turn, which is turn number 14. They will gradually increase pace. Now the pace is controlled by the cars on the front row of the grid. So the safety car will peel off. Safety car goes now. It's the responsibility of Lucas Auer and Bruno Spengler to control the pace of this restart as they head towards the timing line now. The roar goes up as we get this race back underway again. It was a good restart from Lucas Auer. And Timo Glock trying to go around the outside of Philipp Eng. He'll have the inside of this turn, but Philipp Eng does manage to hold on to that P3 place. Paul di Resta and Pascal Wehrlein are having a little bit of a rub scrubbing match a little bit further beyond Timo Glock, and Robin Frins then getting a 5-second time penalty added to his pit stop for that jump start. So Lucas Howard leading. Look at this, Edoardo Mortara on the outside of Marco Wittmann. They're almost going 3 abreast as they turn in at turn 6. And Gary Paffett and Joel Eriksson together. So the car's now on their way as we go back down into the garages once again. Thanks very much. We're seeing that unfold just as you were talking to Nico Muller there. What on earth has happened? I certainly didn't see that live. That is the René Rast car number 33. We can see some movement from inside the car of René Rast. We think he is, well, you can see him trying to move away some of the panels from the car. And René Rast trying to get out of that car. There we can see the pictures unfold now, and René Rast. Oh, what a joy to see that René Rast is out of that car. I cannot tell you, the crowd here at the Lausitzring erupt with applause to see René Rast out of that car. So the race has been immediately stopped. And, well, there you can see he is perfectly okay, it would appear. And crash helmet about to be removed. My goodness me, that all happened just as we were hearing from Nico Muller, who was explaining about the start incident right at the very start of the race. And then, goodness me, the René Rast car. Well, there he is.
Look at his face.
Yeah.
It's plenty of grass.
I know.
Must be a really big. I haven't seen the replay. Have you?
No.
The accident live.
No.
We're with Nico Muller.
Here it
Let's
comes.
try to see again. So the outside.
So he's battling there, isn't he? Oh, and it goes over. And it goes over. Look at that. Not only does it go over, my goodness me. So here he is. So on board with René Rast now. He just gets a touch there, doesn't he? And that sends the car. So who was he battling with? Was it Loic Duval?
I think it's Loic Duval was on the inside, just behind Eriksson. It's just unfortunate the way he clipped on the grass. It launched it directly into the air.
Wow. Well, the integral safety of these DTM cars cannot be questioned, because René Rast has got out of that car after that extraordinary end-over-end roll. Of course, he's being seen and attended to by the medical team straight away. And, well, the joy of we saw René Rast get out of that car. We'll doubtless see more replays of that in a moment.
Just to explain the people at home that no worries, most probably he's fine. They just put this neck protection just as a caution.
Yes.
We always, the drivers get this when we had to go to the medical center. But one more time, it reminds me a lot like last year, the crash we saw at Lausitzring with Gary Paffett.
And Mike Rockefeller. Here it is again. And I'm just trying to ascertain, is it Loic Duval who he's with there? Because there was the touch.
Yeah, it's the car of Loic Duval, and it's a misfortune how he clipped the grass. He just clipped it a little bit sideways,
and that sort of dug the car in,
didn't it? Yeah,
that
dug the car in, and it makes it roll.
Okay. Wow. End over end as well. And so there, as you can see, there's quite a lot of grass and all over the front of René Rast's face, and Jamie Green looks on, absolutely astonished. So René Rast there, look, as you can see, he's relatively speaking, he's absolutely fine, and boy, are we glad to see that. And as I say, it reinforces the integral safety that are built into these, built into the DTM cars. The medical team taking him away, obviously, for checkups. But that car is, well, from a panel point of view, and I appreciate they are panels that are hung on a frame, aren't they? But the car just looks destroyed.
Yeah, as you said, the car is mainly all what it's around. It's a safety cage that we saw is partly carbon monocoque and partly it's this metal rig, and that's the cell of the car, and that's what keeps us the driver safe. And thankfully, the guys built an amazing car, and it gives us a lot of safety, or it gives the drivers a lot of safety. And
right, let's go straight down to the pit lane and Arno Zenzen. Thank you very much. We're being fed the information that 14:06 will see the race restart, which is around about 11.5 minutes from now. So that's what we are being told. That, to be fair, is not on race control message screen yet, but that's all the indications are as we see the René Rast car taken away, and rear wing falling off. That's the part, of course, which contains the DRS. Okay, here comes a replay of the start then. Side by side, Indy-style restart here. Lucas out and Bruno Spengler absolutely side by side. Timo Glock and Philipp Eng on the next row, and Lucas out doing everything that he needed to do. So there was the René Rast car. And we can see from the back there as the cars once again crossed the timing line and got the restart underway. So René Rast already trying to make his way up the order. He was diving to the inside. This then the Lucas Hauer. Now they're saying that the safety car restart is under investigation. As they crossed the line, was Lucas Hauer too far ahead of Bruno Spengler? I wonder. Or will it be judged to be Bruno's fault for not keeping up? Goodness knows. We will see. Any news we get you, we will bring you. In the meantime, the drivers are all out of the cars, of course, understandably. And we have the race suspended. Interestingly, the clock is continuing to count down, as you can see, top left-hand side of your screen. What I'm expecting is for the clock to be stopped. There's Philipp Eng. And for the race duration to be recalibrated relative to everything, of course, that has happened. So there is the number 28 car of Loïc Duval. And can confirm then that 14:06 is the race restart time. The René Rast car being recovered there with, as we speak, bits about to fall off of it. All of a sudden, Alex, here we can see it again. So René Rast was on the outside, and just as he drew a little bit closer, Oh, you can just see the Loic Duval car got a little bit out of shape, didn't it?
Yeah, you see that this is really a small touch, nothing you should really count badly. Should say daily thing on the DTM, but it's just the way they touch and the way René Rast got turn and clip, like you said, bank in the grass, that it make him flip over the in the air, launch the car in the air.
I think you made the point, and you're absolutely right. Kind of what happened is the right-hand side of the car almost dug into the grass, didn't it? And it was that propelled the car over. But to see it go end over end like that, it's one of the most dramatic crashes that we've seen. And there is Bruno Spengler. Wow.
Just to, as Arnold Sensen was saying before, was the crash of Alexandre Premat in Adria in 2010.
Yes.
We recorded on the main straight where he was several times flip over the air and got launched over the air.
We just saw Bruno Spengler out of the car. Let's hear from him.
I think it's just a normal restart with a low indicator. What?
Thank you very much. So Bruno then winner here in 2010 and 2012, and he says his thoughts and the thoughts of all of us are with René Rast. But as I say, as Alex has told us, the neck brace went on merely as a precaution, and there was no evidence to suggest that René was harmed in any way. It certainly was an horrific crash to watch unfold, but René walked away from that, and in fact he kicked his way out of the car, and of course he has been taken by the medical team for a full and comprehensive check over to make sure that he is okay. Bruno Spengler then talking to us just before the restart of this race, and climbing back into the car. As I say, the clock has continued to count down. I expected that to be stopped and recalibrated. Confirmed restart then 2:06 local time, which is just 4 minutes from now. There is Timo Glock inside his car. And whilst there's lots of competition out there on the track, Alex, and you know this from your racing, which has been hugely successful as well, you know, racing drivers, they're all very, very competitive, and everyone out there is someone that you want to beat. But actually, the camaraderie and the respect that you have between drivers, of course, their first and primary thought is always going to be to the wellness of somebody that has been involved in a crash like that.
Of course, at the end of the day, racing is important, but let's say the lives and the people, it's the primary thing. So definitely when you see a crash like this, no one thinks about beating another competitor or anything. You just think about the health of the other, because it also happens really fast in motorsport. One day it can also be your accident, and that's why it's also, as I said, we always take care about this.
How difficult is it?
4 minutes to start.
As Tim
We
McClock has
go
been told,
start
4
behind
minutes
the
to
safety
start
car.
on Team Radio. How difficult is it to kind of redial yourself back in after seeing a situation like that, and the car has been stopped and you've been outside the car? You've got to dial yourself back into it. You've got a job to do. You've got a race to win.
Yes, of course, it's really difficult. I mean, you see such a situation, and as I said, you can always be the next one, because this can happen fast. You need to take the positive. You know, you are driving a really safe car. I think what we saw right now, it's probably what it can be one of the worst crashes it can happen, and even like that, René Rast could jump out of the car by its own feet. So you just need to do a reset, focus on your race, try to really get the rhythm you had before the safety car restart, and go on it again.
As Arno Zenzen said, you know, a lot of credit should go to the designers of the cars and the architects, if you like, of the DTM cars as they are, because the integral safety that's built into the cars is so important. And Well, there we have it then, a young fan there with his allegiance to a brand that sadly isn't on the DTM grid. So,
fahren hier los und dann ist Restart.
Mike Rockenfeller being advised with regards to the restart, which is just 1 3/4 minutes away now. So it'll be another Indy style restart to this race, which is, I can only assume now, Alex, normally when you get a red flag situation, the clock is stopped, isn't it? But the clock is continuing to count down.
Yeah, we saw it didn't stop. We need to also see what happened with the pit stop and everything. It maybe will regain the count, and they will maybe start from 45 minutes on down. It also happened in some races, but we still need to see what's the decision of race direction. As you said, always tight schedule here during the whole weekend, other classes, other championships racing. So they will see. Of course, as you said, we also didn't have any pit stop, so we are less than halfway through the race. So we need to see what the race direction decides.
Just trying to think if we had 2 or 3 racing laps on
that. So.
Okay, well the cars are all back into life again, as you can see from the clock on top of the lighting gantry. We have got just 40 seconds before what will be effectively safety car leading the cars around. Then it will be the Indy style restart. Do bear in mind that the safety car restart is under investigation, and whether that because Lucas and René Spengler were not in exactly the right places when it came to that safety car restart, we will see. That will all unfold, but what is of primary importance right now is to wish our very best to René Rast, who we saw in that horrible rollover as his car dug in and rolled over end over end. Extraordinary. So then the Lucas Auer car is ready to be behind the safety car as it's a somewhat depleted field now. DTM race at Lausitzring has been a torrid one for Audi.
How many laps behind the safety car?
Lucas Auer asking how many laps behind the safety car. Safety car is coming in this lap, Lucas, so just 1 lap behind the safety car. So we are just hearing that René Rast is in the medical centre. That he is absolutely necessary, of course. So thanks for that. The latest information we have from the medical centre, René Rast is being checked out as we speak. To all intents and purposes, is okay. So the cars are heading towards turn number 9 right now. As I was saying, Alex, for Audi, you know, the loss of effectively 4 cars, so few laps having been driven. Extraordinary, an extraordinary amount of work that's got to be done overnight, and I'm not convinced we're going to see all those cars back out tomorrow.
Definitely will be a really long night in case they manage to rebuild the car. Maybe the Gary Paffett, Gary Paffett, the Jamie Green car we were talking, it may be a chassis damage, and I completely think the car of René Rast is completely lost. So Team Rosberg, it's gonna be this not this day, definitely 2 cars out, Jamie Green and René Rast. So yeah, let's see if maybe we are lucky and we can see both tomorrow on the grid.
Well,
cross our fingers.
Of course. Right, the cars grid up then, as they have to. Auer and Spengler. Then it is Eng and Glock. Wehrlein, De Resta, Wittmann, Mortara, Rockenfeller, Joel Eriksson, Patrick Farfus, Schumacher, and Robin Friends in the somewhat depleted field, having lost 4 cars. So the cars then head towards the timing line. The clock remains where we're at, so we're assuming that we're going to get just under 20 minutes of racing to come then from the DTM. So as the cars approach the timing line, racing. The roar goes up once again, and Lucas Auer at the restart just squeezes René Spengler a little bit. Philipp Eng Timo Glock. And let's go racing then. So this DTM race, which has been punctuated by 2 safety car and 1 stoppage, and a proper race stoppage at that, is back underway. So here comes Lucas and Timo Glock is under some pressure from Pascal Wehrlein now. Wehrlein on the outside of the all-yellow BMW. Timo Glock, he's got the inside going through then. Paul de Resta in the Mercedes-Benz behind Pascal Wehrlein. So Timo Glock at the moment then in front of those 2 Mercedes-Benz cars, which are leaning very heavily on the back of Timo Glock, and Edoardo Mortara weaving from side to side, trying to generate some temperature into those tyres, whilst Marco Wittmann and Joel Eriksson are right behind, and Augusto Farfus in the BMW as well, as we see another car off and kicking up a bit of dust, but is able to return out onto the track. And there is Augusto Farfus, as I mentioned, having a battle here with Gary Paffett. Victory in 1 race, of course, at Hockenheim for the Mercedes-Benz driver. Robin Frijns gets a drive-through penalty for infringement of the safety car restart. So all our eyes were on the front of the grid. It wasn't anything wrong at the front of the grid. It was that was for this safety car restart. The reason for my confusion is because the previous safety car restart was also under investigation as well. But Robin Frijns is being penalised for this safety car restart and gets a drive-through penalty. What could he have done wrong?
Yeah, just maybe not the right position on the grid.
Well, let's take a look. Here is the restart then. So this is the replay. See it from a different camera angle here. And so Robin Frijns being penalised. He'd got ahead, hadn't he?
Yeah, most probably we cannot see it from
call,
here, but
it's
a tough. It's really close to see. When we see here was the Mercedes of Dani Juncadella running a bit on the grass. And we could see really good the aerodynamics, how the airflow is going. You saw the dust going into the front grid of Robin Frijns and getting launched in this air vents.
Right, so we continue. There is Robin Frijns then, right at the back of the pack, who will be coming into the pit lane then to serve his drive-through penalty. Lucas Auer, in the meantime, is trying to stretch his legs a little bit, because with DRS enabled, what is going on here? This is involuntary pit stop. The 2 of them so close together.
It's Bruno Spengler and Philippe Eng decided to do right now the pit stop. Paul di Resta is also joining. Augusto Farfus as well. And Mike Rockenfeller is the last one.
All of a sudden, I mean, talk about a late call. It looked like they just decided at that split second of both of them. They were almost welded together. So in they come then. Mike Rockenfeller is the first to stop in his pit box. So the mandatory pit stops have got to be taken, and with the clock kicking down, we're running out of time for which they can be taken. So we run the clock on the pit stops then, a 7-second stop for Philippe Eng. Augusto Farfus splits Paul di Resta and Mike Rockenfeller as he returns. There's Bruno Spengler, there's Philippe Eng. So we have 5 cars that have done their mandatory pit stop already, choosing to come in really, really early on, relative to where we're at in terms of the racing laps that we've had. So here is Mike Rockenfeller then. Puts the power down, bear in mind on cold tyres now. You can see what the car's vigorously weaving from side to side. They're trying to generate some tyres in, generate some warmth into those tyres. So Lucas Auer is 1.3 seconds ahead of Timo Glock, which is critical because it means Timo Glock has not got the DRS to try and use in terms of attacking Lucas Auer. In the meantime, Pascal Wehrlein, of course, will have DRS from P3 on Timo Glock, though in comes Lucas Auer now. So from the lead of the race, here comes Lucas Auer. Effectively becomes the leader of the race, but it's a free pit stop. So Auer is in, Wehrlein's in, Wittmann is is in, and also in is Danny Yunkadea. So the teams go to work. The Lucas Auer car is lifted. Teams rehearse and practice this. Oh, and it wasn't a quick one for Lucas Auer. 8.8, and Pascal Wehrlein right on the back of him. So, where is Bruno Spengler and where is Philipp Eng? Here comes Lucas Auer. He's out. He's going to be in front, but he's going to be on cold tyres.
Yeah, let's see how the traffic now with
Pascal Wehrlein could really help him here. So Bruno Spengler gets past Pascal Wehrlein. Pascal Wehrlein, of course, also returning on cold tyres. What he's trying to do there is hold up Philipp Eng if he possibly can. This is allowing Lucas Auer to get up the road and try and generate some temperature into those tyres, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So now they got out of the traffic, of course, warm tyres, so big difference. Let's see if Lucas Auer can, as you said, generate that temperature into the tyres and get up quick up to the rhythm. But it's a big difference, I can tell you, as a racing driver. When you're on cold tires, it feels like you're driving on ice.
Wow.
And we see also again Wehrlein now fighting with Paul Di Resta.
So Lucas Auer for the moment has seen off the charge of Bruno Spengler, but will it remain for the lap? We're watching Paul Di Resta on the inside of Pascal Wehrlein. Clean move there through the inside. Paul Di Resta goes through on Pascal Wehrlein. So there is Lucas Auer and Bruno Spengler. I really think that his charge was compromised by the traffic as it was coming out of the pit lane, and in comes Timo Glock now. This is going to be a good reference point as well in terms of where Timo Glock returns relative to the others. So the BMW driver turns in 12.5 minutes plus 1 lap of the race are remaining. To say the team practice this constantly, 7.5 seconds. He's certainly better than the Lucas Auer time. So here comes Timo Glock now. And here comes Philipp Eng on Bruno Spengler. And Philipp Eng goes through on Bruno Spengler. So Philipp Eng is now P2. This is effectively when you factor in the pit stops. Lucas Auer is leading the race. Although Timo Glock, of course, is there now. Timo Glock weaving from side to side. He's on cold tyres, though, so should be easy prey for Lucas Auer. So Glock does lead, but on cold tyres. Lucas Auer is going to have to get past the all-yellow BMW with Timo Glock. It should be easy, I say that, for Lucas Auer to be able to do that because his tyres have had a lap's worth of temperature brought into them. Of course, Timo will try and make the car as wide as possible. So, great news, we're able to go down live now and talk to René Rast. Thank you so much for getting that to us. Look at this, all action at the front. Alex, you picked up a point with regards to DRS.
Yes, exactly. So as Lucas Auers, as Timo Glock went in front of Lucas Auers out of the pit lane, the only driver who was having DRS enabled was Philipp Eng, who was right off behind Lucas Auers. So he managed now to pass both the drivers into the first corner. So it's now Philipp Eng leading the race.
Extraordinary, the use of DRS then for Philipp Eng as he gets past the Gary Paffett car returning from a pit stop. Philipp Eng, the rookie driver, is P1 in this race. Timo Glock is P2. It's Lucas Auer that is P3. The graphics on the left-hand side of the screen don't tell the whole story because, of course, a number of cars are still not pitted. So we're trying to factor in who is leading and who is where in the race relative to the pit stops. There you can see just how different it is when you're on cold tyres. You said it's a bit like driving on ice.
Yeah, it's really difficult. That's why you see the drivers coming up in front, and that's why we said now Philipp Eng is virtually leading the race. We're still missing drivers who need to come to the pit stop and then go out on cold tyres.
Well, Philipp Eng leading, then Edo Mortara in the number 48 car. There is Gary Paffett then. So Gary Paffett in a real fight there. But Philipp Eng, and what is interesting is Gary Paffett on the back of Pascal Wehrlein. Now he's got Augusto Farfus behind him. What was really, really interesting is Philipp Eng was realising how he needs to break that DRS gap. Basically, to use DRS, you've got to be within 1 second of the car ahead of you. Now, if Philipp Eng can break that gap so that he's got more than a second between himself and Timo Glock and Lucas Sauer, and he's done that by 0.2 of a second. So Philipp Eng then escaping up the road. So it just really proves, these pit stops, how it can really change the order of the race. That's how close Lucas Sauer is getting to the wall. Philipp Eng has got the Edoardo Mortara car ahead of him. So back onto the inner section of this track the cars come now. So there is Timo Glock, there is Lucas Sauer. Missed a bit of the Daniel Juncadella team radio. So Philipp Eng then, who's really increasing that gap between himself and Timo Glock, which is utterly critical. Timo Glock, in the meantime, of course, he's having to think about defending from Lucas Sauer, although Lucas Sauer is not as close to him as he once was. Edo Mortara, car number 48 then, is ahead of Philipp Eng, but the real leader of the race, if you like, is Philipp Eng, the rookie driver from Austria then, who with his deft use of DRS finds himself in P1 and finds himself wanting to get past Edo Mortara, because what Edo could do here is he could do a real favour for Lucas Sauer by slowing them up, couldn't he, and allowing Lucas Sauer back into the battle again.
Yeah, we see now Philipp Eng opening the DRS, so that will give him an advantage compared to Edoardo Mortara now on the straight. He might try Edoardo. Close the door. Philipp Eng needs to pass him down on the brakes. Let's see if Edoardo managed to stop the car. Yeah, but Philipp gets a better acceleration, so gets the inside for corner number 2, and the movement is done.
Oh, well done, Philipp Eng. You're absolutely right, because of course Edo Mortara, he didn't have any DRS available to him. He's not within a second of anybody, but I tell you what, he did some very, very hard, heavy defending, didn't he, and tried to make it as difficult as possible. But Philipp Eng is such a wily driver as well, and he knew that was coming. And what he's done now is he's bought himself a cushion, hasn't he, between himself and Timo Glock. So Philipp Eng then, with 6.5 minutes of this race remaining, is effectively the race leader. Robin Frins and Joel Eriksson, showing us P1 and P2. Edo Mortara, of course, has also got to stop as well. And this was Edoardo Mortara's defending. Tight to the inside, then to the outside, so made it really difficult for Philipp Eng. But Philipp Eng, with the DRS assist, had got just a little bit more momentum. He was able to get right alongside the Edo Mortara Mercedes-Benz, and with that extra momentum, the job was done, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. He did completely, let's say, the qualifying line, the fast line, all the way on the outside, break the car, and managed to get a better momentum out of the corner. While Edoardo Mortara was in the inside to stop the car a little bit more, run a little bit wider on the exit, and didn't have such a momentum out of the corner. And that gave Philipp the opportunity to pass it on the outside and prepare for the second corner. So let's see if now Philipp can open the gap. And as he passed the line the lap before, just behind Mortara, he has now even DRS again. So opening DRS for Philipp Eng. So some sort of quali lap for him. Let's see if he can open the gap and manage to defend that lead of the race for the next 5 minutes.
Forgive my confusion here. I'm just trying to ascertain whether Mortara has been in yet. Because if Edo Mortara has been in, one of the first batch of cars to come in.
I was thinking this the whole time, but to be honest, I didn't have it under, let's say, my umbrella, so I was not, I didn't notice when he was coming in.
So the fight for that was a fight for the race lead. Because Philipp Eng, yes, he had the DRS available to him, Edo Mortara did not. And Philipp Eng now, so this is critical, because what Philipp Eng needs to do is make sure he's 1 second ahead of Edo Mortara, because Edo Mortara, with 12 DRS laps availability left to him, could potentially get on terms with Philippe Eng.
Yeah, for sure. The race is not finished. Nevertheless, we have 4 minutes, so it will be around 3.5 more laps. So it's not really a lot of amount of time. But I think the point of Edoardo, he went into the pit at a point where it was so much traffic, so he could take a potential.
He took the biggest advantage.
Advantage out of this situation with the traffic. That's why he's finding himself now in second position. But as you said, I was thinking he would pit stop. Yeah, that's why we're talking about Philippe and virtual leader of the race. But no, it was definitely Edoardo Mortara leading the race. But we see he's now getting a little bit closer to Philippe now.
I think this could
0.4 behind Philippe.
So he's got DRS, hasn't he?
He's not inside yet, of course. Now he will have DRS, but it's also Timo Glock running close to Edoardo Mortara. So that means they might also have a fight for P2.
Well, plenty of fighting going on. This is Marco Wittmann on Paul Di Resta further down the order. So the order on the left-hand side of the screen. Ignore Robin Friends, ignore Joel Eriksson.
When we see Philippe just did a really good sector 1, 3/10 faster than Edoardo Mortara.
So Eng, Mortara and Timo Glock. And there you can see Philippe Eng doing everything he can just to try and get away from Edoardo Mortara. So Edoardo Mortara in that livery that I absolutely love. Here is Joel Eriksson then on board with the rookie.
So they will expand their pit stop window till the last lap. They are still not coming into the pit lane. 2.5 minutes to go.
Robin Friends.
We see now Mortara approaching the Philippe on the last sector, probably due to that DRS situation. So
all three are really close now. This is the splitter cam from Timo Glock's car as he takes the curbs, almost a bit of the grass as well in his pursuit then of the two cars ahead of him. Edo Mortara on the outside of Philippe Eng now. Philippe Eng goes to defend. Edo Mortara gets the overtake done. Edo Mortara will go into turn 1 now ahead of Philippe Eng. So behind Philippe Eng, of course, he's Timo Glock, who's also tasting or beginning to taste the spoils potentially of victory here rather than P3. So Mortara, Eng and Glock, and then it's Lucas Auer. But Edo Mortara, he's now using, of course, he's had DRS available to him. You can use DRS 3 times in a lap once you've started the use. So he's using it to his full advantage now, isn't he? Because he's got no one ahead of him. He wants to get up the road.
I'm not sure I might have a point, but I think I saw Philippe is backing off a little bit, letting Mortara pass just before the start-finish line. So might be, I'm not so sure if Philippe has maybe now DRS available for this lap. Because on the screen it's 0-0, so maybe he was smart enough to let it pass a little bit before the start. It's now Philippe the one who
Okay, Joel Eriksson then, at last, comes into the pit lane then. As you say, leaving it to the very last minute. Robin Friends also has to come into the pit lane. But here comes Joel Eriksson then. Of course, just 38 seconds to go, plus 1 lap. The race being led then by Edo Mortara with Philippe Eng and Timo Glock behind again on the splitter cam. This is Timo Glock reeling in. Philippe Eng, Timo Glock on the inside. Philippe Eng tries to come back and him off the back of turn number 1, but he's unable to do so. So this puts Glock in pursuit of Edoardo Mortara. Now, what is the gap between Mortara and Timo Glock? So there is Edo. And there is Timo Glock. So Timo Glock is, is seemingly leaving Philippe Eng for dust now, isn't he, in the pursuit of Edo Mortara. This was him up the inside then. Racing room left for Philippe Eng, and Philippe Eng was still able to carry sufficient momentum through that he nearly came back at Timo Glock there, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Really similar as he did with Edoardo Mortara before, but we see Philippe Eng is struggling a little bit with the grip. Maybe different setup car, and he's struggling to keep the pace of the front row. Need to take it out of Lucas Auer. I think he's also driving a little bit smart, because he knows if he gets too much in the battle with Timo, Lucas Auer could close the gap, and he could let this first podium for him on the DTM squeeze. So he's maybe playing safe, and when we see Robin Franks taking the 5 seconds penalty
he's
from
got
the beginning of the race.
Time penalty first, so he has to sit in that box for 5 seconds before he's even allowed to go and do his pit stop. So Robin Franks is out of it now. We did mention that he's not P1. This is the driver that is P1, Edo Mortara, who's about to start what should be the final lap of this race. Can Timo Glock get on terms? As they cross the timing line, Mortara was 1.2 seconds ahead of Timo Glock, which means that Timo Glock has not got DRS to try and chase him, or have I got that wrong?
No, it's perfect. It's Lucas Auer, the one which is now in DRS compared to Philip Banks. He passed the start-finish line 0.7 seconds behind Philip. So he's now is the first moment for him to keep DRS. This back straight layout they're using this year. You can see Lucas Auer is getting really close. One more chance. It's a small straight between number 9 and 10.
There's one of the rest of Marco Wittmann as well, so whichever way you look, there are battles going on here at the front. Hopefully he will think to himself, Edo Mortara might have done enough. Lucas Auer not quite able to get on terms with Philip Eng, but this is the fight going on here as Pascal Wehrlein tries to muscle his way into that P8 position and wrestle that away from Marco Wittmann. They are side by side. BMW versus Mercedes-Benz, and Gary Paffett wants to buy into this battle also. Marco Wittmann in the end manages to hold on to that P8 position. Here comes Gary Paffett now on Pascal Wehrlein, all the way around the outside very nearly. But at the conclusion of the lap, this is Edoardo Mortara then, who will be heading for the checkered flag. Timo Glock in P2. There is the checkered flag on what has been an extraordinary race in terms of stoppages. Edo Mortara wins from Timo Glock. Philip Eng is chased across the line from P3 by
Maximum pickup, maximum.
Then it was Bruno Spengler and Paul Di Resta, Wittmann, Wehrlein, Paffett and Augusto Farfus rounding out the top 10.
Very good, guys, very good, very well recovered. I was unsure about the pit stop. I really shit my pants. I thought I fucked it up, but oh, sorry, no, mistake. I did it wrong.
Apologies for Timo Glock's
did everything right. Thanks a lot.
Language.
The strategy was perfect. The mechanics did a perfect job. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, you're awesome.
Thanking the team then, because they did the perfect job, and I have to say, Alex, it wasn't on my radar.
Copy that. So now the usual one, like I said, take the pickup, fuel.
Pickup, master, neutral.
And, once again, apologies for Timo Glock's colourful language as always. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, that's for sure. So,
thanks for giving me this great car, Ruch. The team is incredible. It was so good.
Philip Eng taking P3 then, he's very happy with that. As I was saying, Alex, the Edo Mortara, that was under my radar.
We completely missed it. We were so focused, I think, on the battle between Philip and Lucas Auer and Timo Glock that we completely lost, let's say, Edoardo Mortara strategy. But it turned out to work perfectly. I'm happy and...
So, there is Edo Mortara, the winner of race 3. And making his way back. When they, on team radio, Alex, they always say pick up, pick up, pick up. As we see in replay, then this was Edo Mortara and Philip Eng. So through turn 1 now. Philip Eng bouncing over the curbs a little bit, but Edo Mortara takes the checkered flag. So, yeah, when the teams are telling drivers about pickup, that's to almost add some weight to the car, isn't it?
Yeah, it's when you go around the outside, just to grab some pickup from the tires, as you said, some rubber and small stones standing at the outside of the racing line, just to add some more weight, some few grams. It can be up to 1 kilo, so it's can make a big difference at the end. we see.
Thanks, Uli Fritz, then pretty happy for Mercedes-Benz, and here Edoardo Mortara puts the car behind P1 position. Gives it a rev for good measure. In comes Timo Glock. Having a real purple patch at the moment is Timo. So we await Edo to jump out of the car. The best news of all through that race is, of course, the opportunity we had to hear from René Rast. He was absolutely okay following that horrible crash that we saw earlier. So Edo Mortara then is victorious and jumps out of the car. Very good second DTM weekend as well for Philipp Eng, who takes a podium. And the teams rejoice. Edo. Teams are so important because they, like the driver, they win and lose together, don't they? And that's just not something that's being said. That is actually true, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's a team effort. It's always down to not only the driver, to the whole team to do such incredible performance. So,
right, drivers having to be weighed, of course, and then they'll be ushered up to the podium. So fantastic job all around. Here comes confirmation then of the classification. Edoardo Mortara taking the win from Timo Glock, Philipp Eng. Then it was Lucas Auer, Bruno Spengler, Paul de Resta, Marco Wittmann, Pascal Wehrlein, Gary Paffett and Augusto Farfus rounding out the top 10. The rest of the result, as you can see, Mike Rockenfeller, Joel Eriksson, then Robin Frins, Daniel Juncker-Dea. We lost Loic Duval, René Rast, Nico Müller, Jamie Green. So 4 Audis out of that race. It was a real damaging race for the Audi brand, that's for sure. As we see Edo celebrating out of the car.
But I think you should not forget that I would say the biggest victory today is that René Rast, if there is such a big crash, is completely healthy. We could hear him, and that's the best news we could have today.
I totally endorse that and totally agree with you. There's not much you say that I agree with, Mr. Torrell, but on that occasion, absolutely I do. Well, that's a great shot of Edo Mortara, Timo Glock and Philipp Eng. And they'll be heading up to the podium shortly. As I say, that was a drama-filled race, sometimes for all the wrong reasons, I regret to say. But nonetheless, everyone is okay. There's an awful lot of work to be done by some. Let's take super slow-mos to the top 3. First of all, it's Philipp. And let's go and talk to Edo Mortara right now. As he says, the team got the strategy exactly right. Because he had to drive the car and drive the car just right as well. He did that. And so we'll be on the podium. It will mean a lot to Philipp Eng as well. His first podium in the DTM, and Timo Glock. There you can see in the Drivers' Championship, Timo Glock now on 62 points, Gary Paffett on 45. Now, there was a points margin between Timo Glock and Gary Paffett going into this race, but of course, Timo Glock's finishing in P2, and Gary Paffett only just into the points at P9 has made the big, big difference. So, Edo Mortara now is P3 in the points, Lucas Auer is P4, and then it's Spengler, Wehrlein, and the rest of the order there. Podium is being readied with the cars just below. And we'll bring you the podium ceremony in full as we see Mortara, Glock and Philipp Eng up on the podium. So Mercedes-Benz and BMW on the podium, and Audi not. And of course, Audi with an awful lot of work to do in terms of damaged cars from the course of that very, very hard race indeed. So we just await the drivers being called out onto the podium for that ceremony. And of course, there is Bruno Spengler. It was P5 in the end for Bruno Spengler, the BMW driver. And one thing we do know from DTM is that you can never assume that what has happened in race 1 will give you a form guide for race 2. And that's one of the things that makes this series so fascinating, Alex, is you can look at the results on Saturday and think, oh, we know the way it's going to go on Sunday, but you don't, do you?
No, it totally changed probably tomorrow. It will be different front row, different race. As you saw, the race already today was completely eventful, as Edoardo Mortara said. A lot of accidents, IndyCar restart, safety car restart. Tomorrow can be a completely different story.
So everyone gathers then be underneath the podium, ready for the podium ceremony to get underway. To reward those 1, 2, 3 in the first race of 2 this weekend. It's the second event of DTM for 2018. Of course, a fascinating calendar we have ahead of us, because from here we head off to Budapest. Then it's the Lausitzring, that street circuit, the sand dunes in Zandvoort, back to the UK in Brands Hatch, night racing in Misano. Then it's Nürburgring, Red Bull Ring and Hockenheim. To round out the season, of course, so an awful lot of racing to come between now and then. You can see the drivers having their discussions down there ahead of the podium, which is being called right now, and onto the top step will go Edoardo Mortara. Start you up. The points. And his first podium in DTM. Philipp Eng. All the drivers thanking their teams for the cars that have been delivered to them and that drove them to the results that they have achieved. National anthem will play out for Edoardo Mortara. Out there, and Edo Mortara, Timo Glock and Philipp Eng stand by to receive their trophies. Podium presenters standing by to make the trophy awards. Obviously the man that's overseeing the presentations, Mr. Ralf Schumacher, then of course himself a former DTM driver, making the trophy presentation to Edo Mortara. Trophy, it has to be said. And the team trophy handed over. To say, I am loving those trophies. So then Timo Glock is in receipt of his trophy. And holds that aloft. And of course, one that Philipp Eng will remember for a long time, because Philipp Eng then taking his first podium in DTM. So the suspicion is going to be one of many. Philipp Eng then with his trophy. So all the drivers get together on the top step of the podium if they can, with the trophies, so that the focus of the media can be trained on that great photograph from race 1 here at Lausitzring, with another race to come, of course, tomorrow, and another qualifying session for that race before the race gets underway. Tomorrow morning, qualifying to set the grid, and who's going to win the Engeltrocken race? It's Edoardo Mortara. He gets quite a load back as well, and Timo Glock then making sure that Philipp Eng enjoys that first podium moment in DTM. No stranger to podiums and no stranger to race wins is Philipp Eng, but certainly when it comes to the DTM. Why do those grid girls always make the mistake of walking in front of naughty racing drivers that have just taken a podium? Because it's inevitable that they're going to get soaked, isn't it?
Yeah, especially knowing as the racing drivers.
Yeah, right. Here comes the bottle drop from Philipp Eng then. Let's please hope this goes to plan. Yes. Oh, well done, sir. Great celebrations. And celebrations, of course, as vibrant as they are, because we all know that Philipp Eng is perfectly, sorry, not Philipp Eng, René Rast is perfectly okay following that horrific crash. So there we have it. Super slow-mo of Edoardo Mortara rounds out race 1 of DTM at the Lausitzring.